Welcome back to the Simple Skating series. Today we are looking at Tony Hawk's Project 8, or more specifically, we are looking at the Xbox 360 and the PSP versions, or PlayStation Portable versions, of the games. Now, I've never played the Xbox 360 version. The only experience I have is playing the PlayStation 2 version, which was developed by Shabba Games. And I've never played the PSP version, so it's going to be interesting looking at these games. But I kind of find that this was the turning point for me in the Tony Hawk series, and kind of turned me away from the series as a whole. It was this game. Yeah, okay, it was the PlayStation 2 version, but still, it was this game that turned me away after what I consider to be close to a masterpiece that was American Wasteland. I know that's a very big exaggeration, but still, I enjoyed American Wasteland that much. It is by no means a masterpiece, but for me, it is. This was a real big letdown for me. So, that was again the PlayStation 2 version. I'm not familiar with the Xbox 360 version because I didn't have an Xbox 360 at the time that this game came out. I got an Xbox 360 much later. I got a PS3 much later. And I never got around to getting the PSP version. But I am very familiar with Tony Hawk's Underground 2 Remix, on the other hand. So basically, this video, you could say, is comparing the game developed by Neversoft and the game that wasn't developed by Neversoft. Kind of. Anyway, I hope you enjoy the video, and let's dive right in. So let's talk about Tony Hawk's Project 8, more specifically the Xbox 360 version. Let's have a look at this game first before we have a look at the PSP game, right? Now, everyone remembers this intro, right? This intro was, to me, very iconic when they originally showed this, as pretty much like the reveal trailer of Tony Hawk's Project 8. And don't get me wrong, I was hella excited for this game, really excited. It's just kind of too bad, kind of how it turned out for me. But it is what it is. Either way, very iconic opening. So the first thing, obviously, I did was create a character, and I was incredibly disappointed with this create a character. I mean, like, seriously, wow. Like, you got to think about, right? In the previous games, how many options you got, and such silly options you got as well, to be able to customize your character with. To then go to pretty much this, which, I'm not going to lie, right? There's so little in terms of character customization. It's ridiculous. And this turned me off immediately for the game. Like, I was like, wow, okay, this is really violent. I don't remember the character creation from the PS2 version, but I thought, wow, this is really, really surprising to me. Again, a series that's well known for its very, very intensive and very, very expansive character creation is so lacking, so limited in this game. Maybe it was because it was their first next gen game, I guess you would say, for the, in terms of like for the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. But then I also think to myself, well, in all fairness, the game doesn't look that great as it does definitely look like a really early era 360 and PS3 game. Hell, you could say that it's an upscaled PlayStation 2 game, and I'd believe you if I'd be completely honest. But, graphics aren't everything, but I just kind of disappointed that they didn't have those kind of options for the character creation, because it's one of the things I really like about the series. Now, let's talk about the game itself, right? So you start off in this suburbia area, and you got to go complete challenges. No problem. A lot of the previous games were like that. I ain't got an issue with that. And in all fairness, the game plays pretty fine. In terms of how it plays like a Tony Hawk's game. It feels like a lot. Your tricks have a lot more weight to them. But yeah, I still think that as a Tony Hawk's game, as you can see, you can get pretty good air. You can pull off quite a lot of cool tricks. I had a bit of trouble with this challenge, mainly because it was my own issue for not reading what I was supposed to do. But yeah, in terms of actual controls, it actually feels really nice. It feels fluid, feels really refined, as to be expected. But what kind of threw me off was the limited play area you had. Suburbia was really small. And yeah, okay, you completed more challenges, you unlocked more areas, like I completed all the challenges in Suburbia, and now I got access to the Skate Park, which is an expansion to it. Because it's, again, with Project 8, the whole entire, let's say, gimmick, it is a gimmick, right, was that all of the world, the whole open world was interconnected. You didn't have any kind of levels or anything like that. They were all interconnected areas. So Suburbia was an area, and then the skate park was an area, the school was an area, because I went close to the edge of suburbia to an area where obviously I couldn't have access yet, and it came up with schools, so I was like, okay, so school's an area as well. But yeah. And here we have the center point, the main focus of the game, the new mode that was added, the Nail the Trick mode, which basically puts everything into slow motion and allows you to perform a trick that you need to perform. Now, that in this Nail the Trick mode, you can actually use the analog sticks to flip your board in whatever direction you want. Now, it is a bit finicky, and I was having a lot of issues with it, but I feel like I was getting a bit pissed off with it, if I be completely honest. But I do feel like after a while you would get used to it, just like how when you played the Tony Hawk's games, and then when you went to the Skate games, they were completely different control scheme, and it took a while to get used to them. At least for me, it did. But when I got used to them, it made me realize, wow, this is the much preferred control scheme, at least for me, anyway. Tony Hawk's is more arcadey and Skate was more simulation. That's what I always kind of got it from it. And this game is a perfect example of that, a perfect contrast, because in this game, it tends to make you think that it's trying to go away from the arcade roots. Like literally every game up until now has been arcade style, to simulation. This game tried to focus more on simulation, and maybe that's what threw me off. Maybe that's the reason I was like, wow, okay, no, it felt like this game had so many less features, and the worlds were, the skate environments were just not as interesting as in the previous games. You didn't have a wacky, cool story like in the previous games. It was more, you are just a skateboarder, you are trying to... It was pretty, like, just standard. It was similar to what you would be the original Underground story. And a lot of people like that story, don't get me wrong, and I like that story, but when you got shown the Underground 2 storyline, that completely went out the window for me. A combination of Jackass and the Tony Hawk's games together into a wacky storyline. Oh, that was just brilliant, where they challenged the world. Oh, that was perfection in terms of story anyway for me. But yeah, Project 8, it seems like they were trying to go for a more simulation style of game, and I don't discredit them for it, but obviously when I originally picked up this game, it's not what I expected, it's not what I wanted. Maybe I really should give this game another go, a proper go, where I try to complete it or try to finish the game or something. Maybe it deserves that, at least from me. But that's what I got from the game. That's the feelings I got, that's what it felt like. And that is my 2 cents on the game for what I played of it. Right, now I've talked about the Xbox 360 version, we'll now move on and we'll talk about the PSP version. And here we have the PSP version, developed by Page 44 Studios, Tony Hawk's Project 8. Now, this game actually surprised me a little bit, because it's nothing like the home console Project 8's. There isn't an open, sprawling world. You just have levels. And these are the levels. What you see on the screen right now is all of the available levels that the game has, right? And you're going to notice that I'm not going to talk about this game as much as I did the 360 version. But I don't believe in artificially lengthening the length of this video just for the sake of reiterating points. I will talk as long as I feel like I need to talk about these games, right? I just wanted to make that point as clear as possible. Now, this game feels and plays pretty similar, even though it wasn't developed by the same developers, right? Shabba Games for the other one, and obviously Page 44 Studios for this one. This plays and feels very similar to Tony Hawk's Underground 2 remix for the PSP. Like, there is no simulation between this game and the home system versions of Project 8. This feels like an arcade Tony Hawk's game, and it is an arcade Tony Hawk's game. That's what it is. I'm playing as a security guard, grinding up a dragon ride in a fun park. I mean, well, basically the fun park, which is probably the only interesting level from what I could see. The rest of the levels are pretty just standard. This is the reason why I like some of the old school Tony Hawk games, because you had your serious levels. Like, I don't know, Rio. Remember Rio? I think Rio was one of them. I can't remember. You have Rio, you had Downhill Jam in the originals, but you also had Mall. And you also had Airport. Non-conventional levels They're a lot of fun, and most people remember those levels over the actual proper levels, ones that are actually based on skate parks and whatnot. More people remember levels like Foundry and Cruise Ship and Zoo and Alcatraz than they do over Rio de Janeiro and I don't know, some of the other. See, exactly, I don't know. You know what I mean? But yeah, I find that these levels in this game are kind of like a bit basic. I'm currently in a car factory sponsored by Jeep. I'm not even joking. Like, Jeep is plastered, not maybe all over the place here, but as soon as you start the level, it shows a massive Jeep logo. There's element logos everywhere, mainly because I'm playing as Bam Bagheera, who basically looks like a hobo in this game, which, of course, why wouldn't he? But anyway, let me actually talk about the game, right? Let me actually talk about the game. It plays like I'm just gonna say it plays like Tony Hawk's Underground 2 Remix. It just plays like a standard arcade Tony Hawk's game. Like, you have a lot of speed here, you can pull off all the tricks, you've got a little timer thing that pops up like in the previous games to let you continue your trick. It's just I don't know what else to say. It's very similar. It's extremely similar, and in all fairness, if I had a choice, I wish I had bought this game when I was younger over the PS2 version, because at least I would have had a lot more fun. Yeah, okay, it wouldn't be nowhere near as fun and as interesting as Underground 2 Remix was, but still, I would have had a lot of fun with this game, being that it plays very similar to it. But yeah, that's realistically all I've really got to say about Project 8 for the PSP. It plays like Underground 2 Remix, and that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. I've got no issue with that. You know, it stays true to the Tony Hawk roots by being more about arcade style gameplay instead of what Project 8 on the home consoles was trying to do, which was more simulation style, or at least a mix of simulation and arcade. I gotta give credit where credit is due. Project 8 for the PSP, not too bad, pretty good. Give it a go. And that's it! There we go, I've talked about both versions of Project 8. I told you, didn't I? You're probably going, wow, you really spent such a little amount of time on the PSP version. But I said what I believe was all that needed to really be said about the PSP version of Project 8. It's good. It plays like Underground 2 Remix. What else is there more to say? It's a more traditional arcade style Tony Hawk game. Whereas obviously Project 8 is a mix of the two, or focusing more on simulation over arcade. Who knows, right? What Project 8 was trying to achieve, whether it was trying to achieve a more simulation style. It probably is. There's probably articles saying it was trying to achieve a more simulation style. Who knows, right? I'm not going to look into it. But I enjoyed having a go on both of these games, but I'm going to honestly say I preferred the PSP version. Well, of course I'm going to say I preferred the PSP version. So, yeah. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like, subscribe, and comment. Let me know, did you play any of these games? Did you play Project 8? What version did you play? Let me know. And in case you're wondering what would be the next video in the Simple Skating series, obviously keep in mind that, you know, I don't know when the next video is going to come out, but the next video is probably going to be Proving Grounds Portable, where I'll be talking about probably the 360 version. I got the 360 version. I bought it just like I bought it along with Project 8 for the 360. The 360 version, just because it's easier to record, basically, instead of me having to try and fucking get past the HCPC fucking connection that the PS3 has. Yeah, I've got I've got the Xbox 360 version of Proving Grounds, and I've also going to be playing the DS version. That is the portable version of Proving Grounds, the DS version. So we're going to be looking at those. That's for the next Simple Skating video, just in case you were wondering. Anyway, like I said, I hope you have enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. See you later.